This video is sponsored by My Lovely Empress, a narrative-driven kingdom management game inspired by a mix of East and Southeast Asian mythology. Steam now to wishlist My Lovely Empress and play the demo today. There's nothing we can do about it. I am pre-programmed. I just want everyone to know as soon as I see my face in that window, to start talking about fucking stuff.
You start yelling as soon as Marty sees his face.
Yeah.
Screaming.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Firelink Podcast, episode number 25 for Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. My name is Marty Saliva, as always, joined by Nick Calandra, Casey Wosu, and producer Eric. Welcome, everyone. What a great start. Episode number 25. A quarter of a century.
Whoa.
In X-Men issue 25, Magneto removed the adamantium out of Wolverine's body, and let me tell you, it was sick as hell.
That was only the 25th comic that happened?
X-Men. No, it started with the Uncanny X-Men. Comics are very dumb. X-Men issue 25 happened like when I was a kid. So that's how to prove comics are very dumb.
What episode of Breakout did we get to before the Great Void happened?
Well, there was 100, and you weren't there.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
I remember getting to 100, and you were not there.
Yeah.
I don't think it got too far past 100.
It's at least 100. At least
100. Yeah, if it would have gotten to 108, I would have made a Lost reference, and I've never made one of those before. But welcome, everyone. Welcome to Firelink. We're really happy to have you here. We have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about a little bit of leaks. Last week, we talked about how leaks happen. This week, we got another cool leak from Epic. And so we'll talk about a couple games that were possibly confirmed, reconfirmed, hinted at in that leak, as well as I wanted to do a little bit of an Elden Ring check-in, because I personally checked back into Elden Ring last night, and let me tell you, I do not know what is going on in the lands between. I'm like, I need to catch up. So with confirmation of how to access the DLC / some stats of how many owners of Elden Ring will actually be able to access the DLC at launch. Wanted to get your thoughts on that. And then obviously the big topic tonight is going to be us kind of giving a breakdown, a little post-mortem of Summer Game Fest. We were here all weekend doing 25 hours of live streams of all the big shows, the indie shows, all the fun stuff. So we just wanted to give sort of our highlights of winners and losers. And this isn't just like individual games. This is kind of like conceptual winners and losers. What ideas, what companies, what thoughts won, and sort of which ones came out of Summer Game Fest hobbling a little bit. So we'll chat about that as well as stuff we've been watching and playing. We did it. Nice. How are you guys?
Well done.
What an intro.
What? One of the greats, I'll say.
One of the top 25.
I think Marty and I are both ready for a break again.
Ready for a break? No, I feel slightly like I feel like in Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction when she got the adrenaline in her heart. Oh. I feel like I got that by seeing demos of Astrobot and seeing demos of Star Wars Outlaws and downloading a bunch of demos from Steam Next Fest. I feel like I got that in my heart, knowing that Metaphor ReFantasio is right on the way. And let me tell you, they said it's not going to be horny. They lied to us. It's absolutely horny. Lied to us.
Who said the first part? Who said it wasn't going to be horny?
I think they said there's not going to be dating. But I think that's because the sort of dirtiness we're going to get into that game.
Skipping all the dating.
Yeah, it's just friends with benefits.
There's no confidant levels 1 through 9. It's all about confidant level 10. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming out of it. I feel recharged. That's nice to have that in the summer, to where you feel recharged and gives you the energy to get through usually a quieter summer and then into the crazy sprint of the fall.
See, I'm irritable now because it's like a heat wave coming through Kansas City, and it's like 90 degrees today. As soon
Oh
as it
yeah,
hits 90 degrees, I just no. Like that's when I get in Twitter fights. When the temperature gets turned up, then I get turned up on
do
Twitter.
you have air conditioning? Because that could,
I
or
do.
fan.
I do.
Either one of those could help this. We need to move you to a better. Imagine if we moved you to like Saskatchewan and you just became the nicest. Like never getting
But
into
I was
arguments.
literally at a Uber ride the other day, and the lady was asking me why I moved down here because I was like, "Oh, can you turn the AC on?" I was like, "It's pretty hot. I'm sweating back." She's like, "It's like 75 degrees." I was like, "Yeah, I just sweat all the time." She's like,
That's
"Well,
what
why'd you move here?" I was like, "I really don't know. I should have moved like to Canada, to North."
you made
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like they should have moved to Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see in a few
Couple
months
months,
if I
we'll see how
really
many
made that
months.
mistake.
And Brick in the Head with a $5 dono right off the bat. Fitting that we're talking about leaks when Marty's mic leaked at the beginning of the start of the stream. You know what, Eric? I'm not sure if you put my mic early, but if you did, props to you.
Yeah,
Props
I
to
was
you.
trolling.
Absolutely deserve that. Absolutely deserve that. Uh, let's dig into those leaks a little bit. We got a lot of stuff today. Not a lot of time for jibber jabber. We can fold in the jibber jabber throughout conversations, like such as right now, but throughout the show, no jibber jabber.
Got it.
Titles on the Epic Store have leaked via the Epic DB, which is an unofficial Epic database that
Yes.
went up. It can be searched via publisher and whatnot, and it's already been fixed by Epic. Epic's like, we know what's going on and we fixed it. But as of yesterday, searching my publisher led to a lot of games that have and projects that have just not been announced yet. And so this was from WCCF Tech, and this included projects from Square Enix, such as the PC port of Final Fantasy 16, and more interestingly, the remaster of Final Fantasy 9, which is a thing that leaked in those those NVIDIA leaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, from years ago, and like everything, those are like the Nostradamus, like the books that we follow because everything has come to fruition. And this one leaked with a code name, but people were sort of able to guess what it was because of various DLCs that came along with it, talking about the mini games and the different weapons and stuff you would get in the game. And then aside from that, a new Turok game from Saber, and then the existence, unsurprisingly, of the Last of Us Part 2 on PC, which we assume will come probably to
feel like-
coincide with The Last of Us Part 2 on HBO.
I feel like that Turok game might be the code name for their Jurassic Park game that Saber's working on.
Could you imagine if they put Turok in that park?
Could
Could you imagine if Turok was a security guard of Jurassic Park?
Yeah, I mean,
We'd have no more incidents.
Yeah, I mean, they could be making a Turok game. Saber's a huge studio making a ton of different stuff. I don't know. I don't think there's like a page to wish list the Jurassic Park game that they're working on yet. So
Okay, interesting. So Turok, you think Turok could be the code name for the Jurassic
yeah,
Park
I
game?
think they might have just called it codename Turok or
Just a
something.
little code name.
Do these sorts of database leaks from Epic hint to any sort of timeline for these game releases, or this could still be like months or years away?
This could absolutely still be years away. Speaking to that NVIDIA one from a while back, like that had a bunch of games that have already come out, but also had stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics remastered and Final Fantasy IX remastered, which have just not even been announced yet. So this could be stuff that is years and years and years away, but they are planning to have PC versions of, which it seems like Square Enix is more and more of the mind to have Square versions.
You mean
Or,
Square
PC
wants to
version.
sell more copies of their games?
They realize that like releasing an exclusive on PS5 might not be the best idea in
Yeah.
the world. Yeah, I think that worked back on the PS4 because there was like 100 million of them, and now on PS5 it just doesn't feel like there's, I don't know, it doesn't feel like that many people are there's that many of them out in the wild, and people are like Stellar Blade. I guess was that the last one that was like a. Was that the only game
that's
that
time
was
to
PS5 exclusive?
that and Rise of the Ronin.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. And both of those, have we heard much about how they fared in terms of sales because of their
Stellar
exclusivity?
Blade-
Blade seemed to
Stellar
do
Blade's
well.
done 1 million, I think.
Oh,
But
wow.
I don't know. I don't think Rise of the Ronin's broke 1 million yet.
No, you know what the problem was? They didn't remove any of the clothing of the women in the
Oh
game.
shit!
Could you imagine?
If the Ronin himself was in like that Japanese like cloth that they use when they take the robe off, it probably
They
would have done
should've
better.
vagina bones on the guy, and oh my god, it would have been fine. But yeah, that's just
Forspoken is a PlayStation exclusive. What did you do in Square Enix? You're not
Did
selling
that
your
not-
games.
That still hasn't come to PC, has it?
I don't think so.
crazy.
That's
What?
kind of
What?
wild.
What?
Yeah.
It's been over a year. Did they just hit a point where they're like, "This is not even worth it for us"? Like, I feel like that could find an audience. Like,
Yeah. If you put that,
Oh, Forspoken is on PC.
it is on PC. Okay.
It might be. Is it just on Epic Game Store? I don't remember.
EGS.
They put their games up weird.
I mean, the Square has also had a long
Yeah, Forspoken
relationship
is on
with
Steam.
Epic Game Store, including we talked about how like a week ago they announced that Kingdom Hearts is coming to Steam, and everyone's like, finally on PC. And then Epic's like, well, it's been here for a while. You could have bought it on here. So yeah, that's silly. I think that is also just pointing to, which is something we'll get to later when we talk about Summer Game Fest, a future of games being where you want to play them. The fact that we're getting a first-party Sony Horizon game that is going to also launch on PC and Switch this fall, I think is there's proof in the pudding there that between that and between Microsoft obviously opening the floodgates for some of their first-party games, that unless you're Nintendo, I guess nothing is sacred with where you put a game. But even Nintendo, maybe they'll get to a point where they're like, you can have this.
Splatoon
Mario
is free to
Sunshine.
play and just go on all consoles. It would do really well.
Casey, as Johnny Smash, would you be fine with Smash being everywhere?
Yes, but that's never gonna happen.
Okay.
Like,
I thought there was
like
like a negative, but
no, like it's just not gonna happen. Like for Smash to be, for something like Smash to be everywhere, same thing with Splatoon. Nintendo would need to let go of the reins of their internet infrastructure, and like that's partly the reason why it's always so bad, is because they want to have full control over it.
No, you know what they
you
want control
imagine-
over? Can't mod stuff into
Could
Super
you
Smash Bros.
Imagine needing your Nintendo friend codes on a Steam game.
Ugh.
If the PSN thing for Helldivers caused such a stir, could you imagine?
Yeah, Will and Froz are having an issue with just getting their stuff together on the multiverses last night.
Yeah, maybe those character fighters are just hard to put online.
They're too busy trying to protect your kids.
You know what? They're doing a great job. No kid has died since Nintendo. since the release of the NES in 1985, 0 children have died. Thanks, Nintendo.
Is that Project M still around? That big mod for Smash Brothers Brawl?
I'm
Or
pretty
did they shut that
sure.
down?
I mean, they can't shut it down. It's a modded thing. Like whoever owns the disc and a Wii.
But people,
can
I
freaking get it
remember,
going.
I remember something about people wanting to use it in like tournaments. Nintendo's like, "Fuck no."
I think that's
yeah.
when money starts getting involved. I think that's when like the Nintendo lawyers.
But like they even shut down like the legitimate ones for the most part. So like up like over a certain threshold in terms of cash prizes, you cannot have it unless it's sanctioned by Nintendo, and Nintendo has only sanctioned like one tournament organizer, and it's based on all these like dumb rules that none of the people who do tournaments want to abide by. So it's like it's kind of a wash.
Old Hunter in the chat said, "Can you imagine PC Smash players using crazy keyboard shortcuts to annoy everyone? The idea of playing a Nintendo game with mouse and keyboard makes me sick. It makes me sick."
I want someone to do that just so we all know that it's a dumb idea. Like just
It's called
for
emulation.
anyone. No, I mean, well, yeah, you can currently do it now. Like there's a mod or a hack or whatever for people who play Smash. Like I have a friend who plays Smash on a Steam Deck, but like
Heathen.
but it's siloed
Not me.
off, right? That's their own thing. Like those people play against each other. They don't
Oh,
play
I played
against.
through a couple of Melee campaigns on the Steam Deck. It was great.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, you know, put me in the What was the name of the Sakurai or the what was the name of the story mode in
The Subspace Emissary.
Subspace Emissary? Just put me in there for the rest of my life. Nick, we got to get you in the
It's a
Subspace
nightmare
Emissary.
realm.
It's an absolute nightmare realm. What a terrible idea for anything. It was great. Speaking of terrible ideas, I went back to Elden Ring last night, and let me tell you, I do not remember being in that world, which is funny because without going into spoilers, we are doing the Dark Souls thing, and so I just spent quite a bit of time in Dark Souls. But then going back into Elden Ring, to prepare for Shadow of the Erd Tree, I was like,
Yeah,
"What is
there's so
happening
much. Like
here?"
did you leave off of an unfinished playthrough or
Yeah,
like
so I have
yeah.
2 playthroughs. I finished
Okay.
the game once, and then I started a new playthrough, and then I got pretty far. I got all the way to the crumbling Far Missoula. I forgot where I was, but I was like level 110, and I was right at the gate for the what is his name, Malekith, the boss that ends crumbling Far Missoula. And so I got there, and so I was like, "Oh, nice. Okay, I'm a ways into the game. I haven't beat Moog yet, so I'm gonna have to go do that in this save file."
Mhm.
But when I just started to play the game, I was just sitting there, and for honestly, like 2 minutes, I was like, "How do I get my horse?" I was like, "Is there a button? Is he just here? Like what?" And then someone was like, "There's an item." And I'm like, "No, there's not an item for the horse." And I had to go to my menu. I'm like, "Fuck, there is an item for
Yeah,
the
it's
horse."
got to be like hotkeyed or whatever, right?
It is insane. And I'm 60 hours into the second playthrough after a 100-hour first playthrough. So 160 hours into a game 2 years ago, I get in there and I'm like, "This is the first time I've ever played this." I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to dodge. Like, can you
Wow.
guys go back to something after 2 years? And like, how long does it take you to pick it back up? I only played for a few minutes, so I think I'll be fine once I.
Yeah, if you give it some time, I do think it'll kick back in because the worst I did that for was Sekiro, where I left for like upwards of like 8 to 10 months,
That
and
has to be
then
the worst one to do that to, right?
and it was doubly bad because when I
Yeah.
went back, I'd forgotten a core mechanic of when you beat a boss, you can basically use its whatever to like power up, and so I just fought
yeah.
like 3-4 bosses straight without ever powering myself up.
I feel like I should be getting stronger. I'm not sure why I'm not.
So like that was rough, but like clearly I got the hang of it after a while without having to start over again. But like I have not finished Elden Ring yet, and like I am just outside of the Melania fight. I think like I've not run into Melania yet, but I'm in that Halig tree area where I know she's the boss. So when I do decide to go back, that's what's waiting for me.
Oh,
I ended my stream last night right when Frost and Will were beginning, and I said, "All right, this is." I ended at Melania, and I said, "I'm gonna fight Melania. If I beat her, I'm gonna stream for 12 hours straight." Or no, I think I said if I hit her, I'm gonna stream for 12 hours straight, and if not, I'm gonna throw it over to them. I tried to summon meteors, and she just jumped and killed me in one hit. I was like, "Well, this didn't go well."
I'm going to bed.
All right, have fun watching multiverses, guys. Like Nick, where are you? Obviously, you put a ton of time into the first game. You love it. Are you like, are you prepping for this DLC? What are you doing?
I've been planning to, and then I loaded up another game that I'll talk about later. Now I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
You're not gonna be there for the convo? Oh my god, the best
Well,
thing
no.
about a Microsoft
I'll
game
be
is the
there. I'll be
convo.
there for the convo. I don't need to start a whole new playthrough though.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to
Do
like have
you?
beaten the game to
I
start the what's the
still have
name, do you?
I already beat Mog, so I have a character that's endgame. Oh
Did you
fuck! No, I
beat the
don't. I
game
started a
though?
new
Because if
game.
you did, you restarted the game.
Fuck! I
That's
did.
the
It was
thing
a
about
new
that
plus.
game.
Oh, so I
Ah!
shouldn't be trying to finish this game before the DLC
That's
comes out.
why. That's why I keep talking. Like, this is the weirdest game because there is one save, and if you beat the game, you're boned. And not only do you have to replay it, but the DLC is gonna be harder for you because you're on New Game Plus.
So I'm in a great position then because I've not finished it. I have killed Moog. I just ran into him at some point randomly throughout my playthrough. I remember the Lord of Blood or whatever.
Good. Yeah,
So
you
I
got
can
the
just
egg.
fuck off from the Halig tree and just go find that man, I guess.
Yeah, if you beat Moog and you got to the egg with the arm, and we know it's the egg in the arm, they keep bringing that along. They brought it to IGN Live. They keep bringing this egg, and they're like, "You sweaty boy, you could touch the egg with the arm." So you know that's where we're gonna be entering.
I don't
But
want
the
to
funny
play the
thing about
Godskin duo again.
They're not that bad.
They are.
they're so bad. They're so bad.
Oh, it's the
They're so
worst.
bad.
It's the
That is-
worst boss.
They're the cilantro of Dark Souls bosses because to folks like Nick and I, we are like, "Yeah, that tastes like soap," and to like you and Jack, they're like, What's wrong
I
with
think
you?
I think I ran into this with one of my friends too as we were like comparing our playthroughs through Elden Ring. A lot of the bosses are very build specific. Like if the way you play can inform how bad a boss is for you.
Yeah.
And I might have just got lucky there because I do wield katanas, I think, on this build, if I remember correctly.
That's probably a good one.
I'm actually. Do the new builds? Can you use those at the start of the game? Because I kind of want to do that martial arts build that you're getting with the DLC.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
You have to be.
Announced.
Yeah.
but like I don't know if those might just be weapons you find. Those might
Like
be
while
like
you're
weapon
playing
art
through it,
you
right?
find in the DLC. So you
I
might need
find
to
my
go.
fists.
Yeah, you need to find your fist. Damn, takes a big bong rip. But yeah, this also came in a streamer named Ka Carnage. I've seen his name a bunch. Is his name
Yeah.
Ka Cohh Ka Carnage? Dug into these are just Steam achievements, but only 1/3, a little over 33% of people who play Elden Ring on PC have gotten the achievement for beating Moog, for
Mm.
doing the thing that ostensibly you need to do in order to access the DLC, we assume. And so if you extrapolate that to consoles and to the number of people who've purchased this game, they just announced today 25 million units of the game has shipped, which means only 8 million of the 25 million people are prepared for this DLC. And so I'm wondering, like, this isn't their first rodeo with DLC, obviously, and they're not their first rodeo with DLC that is sort of arcane to enter. Dark Souls 1 famously had a very, like, I don't remember how any of us found out how to enter it other than them telling us. Because it was like, you got to do this and this, and then you got to go in the back corner of the lake, and you got to fight the rock monster, and then you got to let the hand pull you through. I'm just this game is so much more popular than the previous games. I think so many more normies play this game. Like, I know normies who play this game. Like, are they going to be like, what? I bought the DLC and I can't just click it from the menu? I have to like,
Yeah, and I hope
Yeah,
they do.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's cool. It's cool that
it's
you got to
gonna
play the
be-
game to get to the expansion.
natural filtering. No one is better at that than
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who will just never get to it, right? They'll be like, all right, I bought it. I have to play the game over again. And then before they reach where they need to reach, they just give up. They're like, fuck this.
It's also a place that's like totally off the beaten path. You can so easily just not go down there. Like, that is not a place you need to go to. It's not a common thing to do. So
Old Hunter says that, but the whole game is stupid obscure like that. That's what makes it so good. It's just discovery
what makes it
every
good.
single way. That's why I love the game. Every single corner you go to, it's like, oh, this, oh, that. Ooh.
And I think that
There's
is
a whole
almost
dungeon
like,
I haven't even done yet. I didn't even realize. I didn't even ever went and did the fire dungeon.
you never accepted your invitation?
I
Go fight
did. I just
Snakeman?
never found the door.
Oh, like that volcano manor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the invitation. I just never went below it.
Yeah, that is. It is like it. FromSoft games almost do feel like that, like hardcore restaurant in your town where it's like, oh, no, don't go there if you're not used to like eating. Like, this is like the real Thai restaurant. This is where they're gonna like fuck you up. Like, they're gonna put the spice in your food. So like, just go there. There's plenty of like Thai restaurants in the city, but just know if you're gonna go here, you might have a stomachache afterwards.
Like you need to be prepared for this. Like,
Yeah.
don't go in as a tourist. Go in with some friends who know what they're doing, who are gonna lead you by the hand.
We got cheesecake factories for you, and they're great. And let me tell you, they got columns everywhere.
No,
they're wonderful.
That's what's my Fogo de Chao. Like they hand you that button, you're like, what do I do with this? Or you flip it over when you're done. Oh,
we're gonna slice meat at your table until you literally die in our restaurant.
Yeah.
We're gonna drag your body.
You know what? I'm ready to die that way. Fine.
Prepare to die.
The last time I went there, like my cousin and I we were just full, and then this guy walks up with like these lamb chops. We'd already flipped over our buns, and you kind of stand there and look at us, and we're like, all right.
That's why the secret is when you go there, wear Jiko jeans with cargo pockets on the side, and you can bring so many little meats home with you, and they will
just put Ziploc bags in those pockets.
Line them with heavy Ziploc bags, so you can drop as many meats as you want in there.
Why are dogs chasing you out the door? No reason. Don't worry about
it. Going over a couple super chats that came in during that, and thank you to everyone who's watching live on YouTube now. Also to everyone who's watching later on a VOD or listening. We appreciate y'all. But remember, super chats, Patreon, merch, all that stuff helps keep the lights on here. And we appreciate it, such as Elise T with a $10 dono. Going back to Nintendo. Nintendo just said no to Samus in Fortnite because Epic wouldn't agree to have her exclusive to Switch. Nintendo will never put a whole first-party game on another platform. They've done mobile.
Yeah, I guess they don't consider mobile like a competitor platform,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like it's kind of its own separate thing.
I would never say never. Like they've finally gotten over the hump with having their properties made into movies after being burned, I guess, in the '90s. Like they're seemingly opening the doors again to that. So I don't know. I would never say never. Do you think
Nintendo
we will
might.
ever on this podcast talk about a Nintendo game, a first party Nintendo game coming to Xbox or PlayStation or
If
PC?
they do some big live service multiplayer game, yes.
Live service feels so antithetical to like Nintendo's like mantra. Like there would need to be some sort of
Kidnappers
a
will
massive shakeup.
Bullshit. They're still charging $60 for Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
It's not live though.
It's
Comes
worse.
with Funky Kong too.
It's worse than
It,
live.
it's a different kind of bad. Like I'll give you that.
Also, if you buy the $100 Nintendo Pass, you get 3 games for the price of 2. That is the worst. That is like the worst Stockholm syndrome I have with a company is being like, "Do you know this?" And then it's like, "You are
Because
still being held hostage in the back
yeah,
room
that
of a
kind of makes it a better deal than what they usually offer, but it's still a pretty bad deal.
Listen, he was robbing the bank. He held a gun to my head, but he brought me a glass of water. So it's very nice of this robber to do that. Raphael, thank you so much for the dono. I've played most SNES games on keyboard via emulation and got arthritis to prove it.
You play
Listen,
Yeah, I
don't
played
wanna
that
games.
Gundam Endless Waltz game because that was a ROM hack back on keyboards, and I had that.
It was back when it was like controllers were a real pain in the ass. It was like, oh, you didn't start the PC and have your controller plugged in and go through the drivers. You're not using your controller now. What are you talking about?
I mean, I did that in shop class, so there was no controller option. This is all. I mean, it was kind of like an arcade, like right, like you bang the buttons in front of you like this anyway. So
Sure,
checks out.
Yeah, the classic endless waltz. Shout out to Zex Marquise. If anyone
Yeah,
remembers Zex Marquise, what a man.
get your
Imperium.
Zex on.
Jewel Rao, the €2 dono. Shout out to Spilled, a cute indie game on Steam. We saw Spilled during one of the showcases. That was it's this sort of isometric game where you play as like a boat in during on these bodies of water that need cleaning. I believe it's actually developed. Like the creative director is a woman who was. She was a fan of games, but her main job was like being an environmentalist,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then decided
I've
to
seen
make a
this on
game based
Twitter.
on this. So this seems like this is one of our themes, which I don't know if we're going to be talking about in our main section, but it seems like there's almost a an overriding theme of like environmentalism and like, hey, the planet is being ruined on a daily basis, and maybe we should do something about it. And we're seeing that in certain games.
Yeah, let's play games instead of actually fixing the world.
I mean,
No, you got it.
it's awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah, this is a key factor.
Awareness, Nick. You sound like one of our commenters. But not like one of our good ones, like B Smarch. Thank you so much, B Smarch, with a $2 dono. You can beat the game, but just don't go into New Game Plus. But I mean, that's like
If you beat the
Okay.
game, you go to New Game Plus.
you die in the game, you die in real life. No, I think there was like a buffer. You could beat the
There
game
is
without.
there is a buffer,
like-
but nobody
but-
nobody knew how this DLC was going to work. So
We still don't. The trick would be if they were like, oh no, you can only access it New Game Plus 5.
fuck.
Would that be a bridge too far for us?
Yeah, I'm not fighting
Yeah,
Godskin Duo 5 more times.
That's good. Quintuple. That's not 5. That's 5. Might be 5.
Pet.
Quintuple?
Quintuple. Oh, you said duo, and I tried to replace duo with the 5 version of it. It's fine, Nick.
The
You don't
5
need to-
version, were you trying to say 5 in like Spanish?
No, Latin. Quintuple. That's all Latin.
You're Latin.
Shout out to, I mean, honestly, the root of Polish is probably Latin, so there you go. Shout out to Latin. Abdel Corrales, thank you so much for a dono. Hey guys, love your shows. Has there been an official Dark Souls #1 in Second Wind, or have we just agreed that Jack is the best at those games? Is there an official best person at Dark Souls at Second Wind? Great question, Abdel. We are going to plead the fifth right now, possibly because of a project that is in the works that we've probably hinted at on various things, and maybe you literally heard the core of during our celebration stream a few weeks ago. But we'll know who it is. Yeah, We'll just leave it there.
Sure.
And I guess that's not the official, but we'll
Yeah,
know.
it's
We'll
not
have
official because I'm so good. I'm not taking part.
You know what that sounds like? A little bitch move. Raphael, thank you so much for the dono. Dual wielding katanas. Damn weaves are fucking everywhere these days.
What you gonna do about it? Nothing, because we'll cut you.
We got two katanas. We got two katanas. What are you gonna do? You can say something to the first one. You can't say anything to the second one. I can't believe you didn't participate in it, Nick. No, I can believe.
I was busy.
Sounds like you're a coward.
I was also busy.
No, it's first off, all of us are busy. Second off, Nick, you're just like, I put 75 hours into Avatar from Tears of Pandora, and let me tell you.
For real.
Spoilers,
Oh, sorry.
bitch.
Whoa! Tsunami Doucher with a $20 dono. No comment. Thank you so much, Tsunami Doucher. We really appreciate you. And Fungus Finder with a $2 dono. Thank you so much, Fungus Finder. So it's only okay to mix your meats in a pocket. No, it's fine if each pocket has a different meat. So you could put a lamb chop down
pockets
here.
you have?
I said it was going to be
You wear cargo
pockets.
shorts?
It was going to be Jinkos with cargo pockets. Yeah, the official pants of the Vietnam War.
Also, just learn how to sew. Add more pockets. It's not that hard.
Maybe you can be like that guy out of Hogwarts with all the different keys in his vest.
Johnny Pockets.
Yeah.
Johnny Pockets, my favorite Harry Potter character.
Yes.
Is that a real Harry Potter character?
I don't know, probably. Hopefully
Johnny.
one of those buys him from J.K. Rowling, so I don't have to feel bad about liking that anymore. Solinger with a $5 dono as well. Thank you so much. This whole conversation reminds me I need to put some time on Elden Ring before the DLC. That's part of what we want to do. This is like one of those men of a certain age get your prostate checked. But it is Elden Ring fans of a certain age away from the game. Just check on your save file. Make sure everything's fine if you want to play this DLC. I don't want you guys like loading up the game. That was like the classic thing of you'd hear horror stories in a digital world of parents gifting a console to a kid and then they open it on Christmas and then there's like server maintenance or something in the morning. They can't even play it. You just got to worry a little bit.
Yeah, they got to put email addresses in, like add a credit card. Like,
yeah,
your mom doesn't know how to
just
do that
playing
shit.
Hexic while grandpa's sleeping and Uncle Joe is saying something racist. And all he's got is Hexic. You guys want to get to the main topic? Speaking of Hexic, Hexic's really good, by the way. Do you guys remember Hexic?
Yeah, like where did it go? Why didn't we get a Hexic 2?
Did it get canceled?
We did get a Hexic.
We did?
Or Hexic or Hexen?
Hexic.
Oh, is that the shooter or the puzzle?
No, it was the puzzle game.
Puzzle
Yeah.
That came reloaded.
The tie-in with 360.
Yeah. We got a Hexic too.
I think it got canceled because of woke. I think
We can literally get
those
Hexic
hexagons
2.
weren't curvy enough.
You can get Hexic 2 right now on the Xbox for $10.
But why aren't we talking about it as a society?
Because it's not free anymore.
Yeah.
There is a Hexic 2.
Yeah, I remember
How
that.
come we're not doing full playthroughs of Hexic 2? Hexic 2
Why
game
didn't we get a
night?
Hexic 3?
You imagine.
I played way too much Hexic.
Yeah, this
really
came out
good.
on 360 even.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even like much
built
later.
Okay, to clarify to everyone, Hexen is the
Magic
the
shooter.
first person shooter that's like dark magic that Phil Spencer wears shirts of, but we don't get anything from. I believe that was Raven software. Shout out to Raven, Madison's finest.
Ooh.
And then Hexic was a jewel-based puzzle game that came preloaded on the Xbox 360. So if you bought a 360, you got your own little Hexic. Before we move on to our main story, Dr. Theo with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Dr. Theo. Persona 6 will have the characters summon their personas by shotgunning a beer and then crushing the can to their head.
That'd be fucking funny.
I would love to see that, just to see
That-
people who are like,
that would
what's
be
going on?
Oh my god,
Pretty
they
freaking
need
funny.
They need to make like an American Persona in like
Like
college
hillbilly
kids.
persona?
Yeah, you just shotgun a beer, darts a beer, beer bong a beer.
Beer bonga beer. That's my
Beer
favorite
bonga
teacher
beer.
at
Beer
Hogwarts.
bonga beer. That's a video game title right there.
I'd play beer bonga beer. Okay, our main topic. We're getting to it now. No more goofs. Summer Game Fest. We want to break down what we think are the winners and the losers of Summer Game Fest. And like I mentioned earlier, we're not just talking about individual. We're not talking about people. We're not really talking about games. We're not talking about that. We're talking about more like concepts. What concepts are winners, are losers? What trends do we see coming in? What trends do we see losing momentum? Which companies feel like they're better off than they were a week ago? Which ones feel like they're better or worse? Let's we'll do round robins. We'll each name a winner. We'll each name a loser. Each name a winner. and then 4 hours later we'll be done. I'll start off with one of my winners, and it is going to be the genre of the colorful 3D platformer. And let me tell you, it's back. It's back. People were like, "Oh no, it's gone. It's gone. It's only a Mario game every 5 years or indies." That is not true. And you know who's carrying the torch? Sony.
I mean,
Sony
how many do they have
two.
to declare that it's back?
Yeah.
Sony's two games this fall
Steam.
are colorful 3D family-friendly action platformers in Astrobot,
Mhm.
which I'm putting my stamp down is going to be Game of the Year this year, and Lego Horizon, which looks delightful because it's taking Horizon, which I don't care about, and distilling it into a very nice 7-hour little adventure that looks charming and funny. And so that's great.
You put all your bags into Hollow Knight being at the showcase, so I'm taking you with a grain of salt right now.
The problem is Hollow Knight. I can't will Hollow Knight to be there. I could just be stubborn and say that Astrobot's the game of the year. I can easily make myself right on this one. And then there was also games like Project Tides, which is the follow-up from the Demon Turf folks, which looked like the first game heavily inspired by Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury, which is that game that I keep thinking Nintendo's next 3D Mario game, which will probably be announced within the next 6 months when they show the Switch 2, is that's going to be the prototype of it. And so it was really cool to see Project Tides because I was like, oh, finally someone is inspired by this incredible game that came out a few years ago. And then it's not 2D, well, it's 2.5D. Tomba coming back early August.
And that's a remaster? Okay.
Limited run. Who actually announced they're doing a showcase in like a week. They're like the champions of sort of carrying the flags of those old games and bringing them back. So excited for all those. So colorful 3D platformers. Congrats. You got.
I mean, they're also remastering Yuka.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
how dare you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna call it Yuka Relayed Me, but yeah.
You can call it whichever one you want. Gex is coming back. Gex.
Did we need Gex to come back?
No, but he's coming back. He's coming to the party. He wasn't invited, but he's still coming to the party.
Gex is crashing the party.
As that's one of my favorite 3D colorful platformers are one of my favorite genres of all time. So I'm very excited to see that coming back. Even though I'll circle back around to this into one of the things that I consider an L. So Nick, what's a W for you?
Mine is games getting back to being in scope. One of the trends that I really saw in the previews, maybe not the showcases, but the previews are like Star Wars Outlaws can be finished in 30 hours. Assassin's Creed Shadows is the size of Origins and much more focused. A lot of the Avowed isn't a major open world game. It's set in zones. Dragon Age, Veilguard is set in zones. It's not a big open world again. So it really seems like developers are starting to get back to focusing on quality over quantity, which is great. Because there's been so many bloated open worlds with so much useless stuff in it. I don't need to explore a endless 80-kilometer world again. I just want good crafted experiences with cool handcrafted locations, memorable set pieces and moments. So yeah, Dragon like that everything that I read in the previews for Dragon Age of Veilguard, because the gameplay trailer looked cool. It didn't really show me much of what the game was really going to be, aside from the combat. But the previews sold me on it right away. I was like, oh, this is much more like Origins and 2, where you go to different locations and it's all crafted. I'm like, yes, give me that, because as much as I like Inquisition, I didn't find the exploration all that exciting.
Well, especially the last 2 years we did Summer Game Fest stuff, especially with stuff like Starfield. I remember us rolling our eyes when they were like, there's 1,000 planets. We're like, bah.
Yeah, it just sounded exhausting.
Nothing this year made me feel that way. All the AAA stuff announced at Summer Game Fest or Xbox, none of it was like, roll my eyes, like, oh, it's this fucking thing again. So that's good.
Yeah, and Xbox's upcoming lineup really doesn't have any major open world games in it either, because we didn't get to see anything really from Sony or Nintendo. But even Gears of War is going back to very curated linear levels.
Yeah, it seems like it just takes place in that city. They said, which is cool. Give me a Gears in a city. Cool. Casey, what's a W?
for me, it was both Xbox and Sony's. Their showcases had a plethora of games that did not seem to focus on that sort of third person, over the shoulder, cinematic, story driven experience. Like these were games that seemed like they at the very least had lots of mechanics, like meaty systems in order to like dive into and mess around with, and that they are gameplay focused first. Like yes, some of them still have like big budgets and like look gorgeous, but like I was really feeling like games couldn't get out of their own way in terms of chasing the movie archetype, and we're moving away from focusing on like the thing that makes games, which is like their interactability. So like a lot of the stuff that a lot of money seems to be being thrown at for both Sony and Xbox are games that feel like proper video games. Like however you want to define a video game, sure, I know that there are different kinds, but like just the traditional sense of like I'm going to be spending a lot of time interacting with this world and exploring it, or like learning mechanics and building up skills and whatnot. And that's really exciting to me. Like there was a lot of stuff that Sony showed and Xbox showed that I feel like, oh, I would totally play that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you there. Even as someone who likes those kind of cinematic games that might be capital E experiences, I was really happy to see what felt like a breadth of different games that like there was no one overriding theme of a couple years ago, everything's a looter shooter, everything's everything's a character action game, everything's a cinematic thing. Like it just felt like even if stuff wasn't hitting with you, it was at least spreading out in a bunch of different directions, which I just think is good for the industry as a whole. Yeah,
like even some of the like it was on both ends too. Like for these bigger publishers, like their big marquee AAA thing, like Eric is showing Doom on screen right now. Like that's a big title for Xbox, especially right now with like the way other things are going. That we know for a fact is all about gameplay and feel. But then like some they got was Wu Chang Fallen Feathers.
Wu Chang.
Yeah, like that got some stage time, and it's like we don't know what this is, but like this looks like a probably like a Lies of P-esque version of Bloodborne, but for Sekiro, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like just another crack at this style of game. Go at it. Right? Like let people know like there's more stuff like this out there on this platform. Yeah. I'm really excited to see more stuff like that. Like not super big in name, but like very exciting in terms of like gameplay possibilities.
Yeah, and you even some games that have sort of I guess underwhelmed on presentations have apparently been pretty good hands-on. Casey, you like shared a article from Digital Trends on
for Kunitsugami. Capcom joint.
The Capcom joint.
Yeah,
that
most
seems
of the
like
are positive on that.
Yeah, like the hands-on previews sound like the game is like really solid and it's coming out this year and everything. And so it's cool that we have, while it doesn't feel like there's one showstopper, it feels like we have something for everyone, which that's going to sound really dumb, but like I don't know. I think that's really cool. Speaking
I prefer it.
So do I. Yeah, because it feels like no one's left behind, and that everyone's going to have something to glom onto this year that they're really going to dig, whether it's in the AAA space or the indie space. And speaking of glomming onto stuff, Elise T with the $2 donos, and how do you all feel about Metaphor ReFantazio? Elise, how much time do you have? Let me tell you, I have so many feelings, and then after reading the hands-on and saying that it sounds it's like a little bit harder than Persona. It's not SMT hard, but it's like bringing some of like the push system of SMT. And let me tell you, I'm just very excited for this Metaphor ReFantazio. You play as the monsters, and the enemies are a weird race called humans. Think about that.
That's what that game is?
Think about it. I think there's a real world. I think we're going to the real world in this game. I think we're going to the real world. I think we're going to meet these Metaphor ReFantazio folks, and I think it's going to be very scary when we do.
All right.
What's your next win, Marty?
I'm giving you my W. It is the rise of the Strand genre. Our good friend Hideo Kojima did not make an appearance this year at Summer Game Fest. However, his influence was felt, and I think it's because the Strand genre that he created during the pandemic, even though the game came out before the pandemic, I think the pandemic helped people realize that this thing, this building connections between characters is something that we need more of in life. And so we're seeing a lot of games that are based on the idea of delivery. People being delivery people, which I love. And I think that part of it might be the isolation of the pandemic, and then part of it might have been everyone got a little too greedy with their Uber Eats. Their Uber Eats and their Amazon Prime. So now we're thinking about those folks. There was 4 specific indie games I saw during the weekend that stuck out to this. One during one of the showcases, a game called Pedal Runner, which is it's like you are a Pokemon delivery person in in a world of 8-bit Pokemon. So it looks like a top-down 8-bit Pokemon like, and you are a delivery person having to deliver these little critters to people. Big fan of that. Then we also had a game called Tom the Post Girl, which looks like it took sort of delivery Peeping Tom spookiness. And so it was like, I believe this was one of the Devolver games, but it was the one that had it had a kind of twist at the end where it had this like dark, it was a Jess game. We told Jess this was a
100%.
Jess game, and she saw it, and she was like, "Yeah, that checks out. This is a Jess game."
that's your version of people coming together, stalkers.
No, but stalkers delivering presents. It's all about how you use the mechanic.
It's not that you stalk people; it's how you stalk people.
It's not necessarily a positive thing, but it's all about delivering.
So as
you
long
might
as
be delivering spookies and creeps and chills.
as long as my Uber driver like peeks through my door while they're delivering my food, it's okay.
Listen,
Oh, it's not okay. Like we're not assigning
condoning
a value to it. We're just saying it's a theme.
Yeah. A game called Hello Again, which again it looks like a kind of a cozy top-down island open world game where you are delivering, and then Crescent County, which is a bike courier game. And there's a couple more bike courier games. We had Season last year. We got another one from Annapurna coming next year. But games where you're a bike courier, and I'm a fan of all this. Don't be scared of any of those links. All those links are fine. All those links are to Steam pages. If anything bad happens when you click them,
orc massage.
If anything, an oopsie orc massage. So while Hideo Kojima is busy watching several more screenings of Furiosa, I'm just happy that his influence is spreading throughout the games. Nick, what else? What else do you got?
I was really impressed with the withholding of endless live service titles this year. At least from the major publishers. I expect Nexon to do live service games because Nexon, that's what their game is. Sure. But as far as like from Xbox and anybody else, really, kind of just a few notable ones. There's the one that's kind of looks like Friends of
Sony
Friends.
had the one big one, Concord.
Well, it's not even, and that one's a premium game too. They're selling it for $40. There was a Friends versus Friends looking game with the card system where you pulled cards. Obviously, the first Ascendant, which we've seen a million times from Nexon.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I don't really remember that many else. And also, like a lot of the publishers like made it clear, like, hey, Dragon Age is no microtransactions. Dragon Age is just a straight up single player game.
Microsoft doing the same thing for stuff like Fable and Perfect Dark, just making sure no one thought otherwise. Ubisoft, same thing with obviously Star Wars and AC. So I think that I don't think it's not clearly the genre is not dead, but I think the pendulum has sort of shifted to everyone needs to make one of these to maybe everyone doesn't need one of these. Yeah, well, I think we're basically at the time of live service titles where the MMO genre is, where there's the big heavy hitters. There's eventually some middle ground hitters, and then most just not worth investing to. Yeah. Especially from the smaller publishers that were all trying to get their big break with live service stuff, and it just didn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. Like you gotta have the teams to pump out content at the scale of Destiny and Fortnite and Apex Legends and all that to make these things happen. And that's why we saw so many layoffs, because these publishers tried to build teams to make that stuff, and they couldn't keep up. And like, how do you tear people away from Warzone? How do you tear people away from Apex? Like, these people have been playing these games for years on end now, just like World of Warcraft. And like, once they're in, they're in. Yeah. Addicts. How do you pull them away? Casey, what else did you have in the W category?
Is that our most recent super chat? Because I can just jump to that. Matches up.
Yeah, you want to read it out?
Elise T with a $1.99 donation says, Casey, thoughts on Perfect Dark? Excited? Nervous? That was actually my next win, is that we got to see not just see Perfect Dark for them to remind us that they were still working on it, but to see that there's been progress made. It's first person. It's doing sort of that immersive sim-esque mission design, which was present in the original game, where like there are missions on the map. You can do certain things to either make those missions a little easier. You can even I didn't know if they showed this off in the trailer, but like the difficulty is dynamic in that everything stays the same except there's more for you to do.
Yeah.
In terms of like missions and whatnot. But like it's a big map. You have tools at your disposal based on like what it is that you can do, and then you handle it how you handle it. Like that's the vibe I got from the trailer, which is what Perfect Dark is. So that made me happy. I do know outside of that, it didn't look especially impressive. Like it didn't look like anything, groundbreaking or brand new. But that's not what I'm asking for right now. I'm asking for them to just do Perfect Dark justice, because it's been so long since that series, which I love dearly, has been shown any real respect.
Yeah.
So like as of right now, this looks good, and that is all I can that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, there's some things I like. The game is apparently entirely set in Cairo, which that could be cool. Like we said with Gears, like it could be cool to take a single location and totally explore it throughout the course of a game. And I was chatting on some other streams with folks like Jombly, who's a fan of Perfect Dark, and said like, oh, this felt too serious. Which when you think back on Perfect Dark, you think of stuff like Elvis the Alien, you think of the laptop gun, you think of the Super Dragon, the Farsight and stuff like that. But and yes, that is part of it, but also that wasn't every level. The game wasn't time splitters. Like the first several missions of Perfect Dark are very serious.
Yeah, they do play some situations pretty straight, but like sure, there's the goofy stuff in there as well, which I don't like. Yeah, we don't know, I guess, from the trailer, but hopefully that is maintained, because like that's part of the identity of those games.
That's what separates it from just traditional, Deus Ex or something like that.
Right.
But I thought it feels like they're confident in it, because I think it was their longest first party gameplay. I guess maybe South of Midnight, but they showed a lot of it, so it seems like maybe they heard a lot of the worries and the reports about how there's been a troubled development and wanted to quell some of those fears. Yeah,
and unlike some of like something like those earlier Stalker gameplay demos, like this looked like gameplay to me. Like this didn't look like a manufactured sort of gameplay experience. It looked like how the game might actually run. Like it had a HUD on screen. It had like very video game player like movement and animations. Like this looked playable. So I am excited.
Yeah, absolutely. How you feeling? You're not a crazy Perfect Dark fan, Nick. How are you feeling about it? I mean, obviously, like Casey and I are kind of all in from liking the original game, but
I think it looks really cool. Like I kind of consistently said, Xbox's lineup really excites me, because there's a lot of variety in it. Whether you got your third-person shooters, you got your immersive sims, you got your fantasy action games. Like as much as I love Sony's stuff, like a lot of it kind of blends together at some point with cinematic action games.
Yeah.
So I like that Xbox, even if we're not graphics to me is like cool, great, but also like I just want varied gameplay experiences, and Xbox 360 used to be really, really good at that.
It really did. Yeah, seeing their watching their old E3 conferences, it was crazy for them to go from like here's Fallout 3 to Resi 5 to Halo 3 to Viva Pinata to some early Connect games, like even if they weren't winning. Cool stuff. Yeah, and I guess transitioning to some of the stuff that was less exciting for us. Basing off, I think we all agree like Xbox had a pretty good showing. Like the general consensus online is like really good to great, like showing. And I think that showed how Sony, again, maybe it's not important, maybe we're just too close in the forest to see the trees kind of thing, but it just seems like Sony's what felt like a half-ass effort the week before, and again, maybe in a week this will be moot, but Nintendo just not being there. And again, maybe like there's been reports next week we might get a Nintendo Direct, maybe on Tuesday, but like there just felt like an absence. Like it felt like there was a bunch of indies and then there was Xbox. That's what somebody did. And Ubisoft, honestly, because they were the second one.
Sure.
Really great games, but like
they had a really good conference. Like
the
stuff they had to show off, like, oh my god, Shadows looks freaking amazing.
I mean, Shadows and Star Wars, I was like, it was very smart of them to bookend with Star Wars and Shadows because I was like, oh, this is great. And if there's stuff I didn't care about, it was fine. But like, yeah, those are two of my most anticipated games
Yeah,
of the fall.
it's it's kind of a double-edged sword because like one, Xbox showed off a lot of stuff. A lot of that stuff's gonna take a while to do. And
Yeah.
we kind of got away from showcases like that because everybody's like, well, it's not gonna be out for 2 or 3 years. I don't want to see it. I don't care, right? But then people are like, oh, I want things to be excited about. And so like the publishers are constantly swinging like pendulum back and forth of like, well, do we show you stuff too early? Do we show you stuff too soon? Like, or I mean, too late? Like, what's the middle ground? I think Xbox kind of has it right. And I'll talk about this in my Unpacked video tomorrow. But we're seeing what's coming out this year. We're seeing a lot of what's coming out next year, and then some smaller glimpses of beyond. Because I think like Gears of War E-Day feels like a 2026 title, considering they didn't put a date on it. Same with Perfect Dark, which whatever, fine. At least at Xbox, like I have a big lineup of things to look forward to.
What do you think Sony, Perfect Dark or Fable?
Fable.
I now think Perfect Dark comes out first.
I think Fable comes out first.
They didn't even show gameplay for Fable.
Not like extended.
Yeah, it's still
a little chopped up.
Yeah.
Movies.
Yeah, I don't know, but as far as like Sony goes, though, like I'm just not like, and like you said, Marty, like maybe it doesn't matter. It probably doesn't matter, right? But I just don't have the excitement for Sony that I do for Xbox right now. I don't really know what Sony's roadmap looks like. They keep their cards very close to the chest these days until like they have solidified release dates, which they got a lot of criticism in the past for because they would announce stuff like Wild and Agent and all this other stuff, and then we never see it again. So I don't blame them, but also like on the excitement front, Xbox is kind of blowing them out of the water with like we know like the next 3 years of Xbox games right now, and some of the stuff we still don't know about.
That it's important to know that like Avowed, assuming there's not delays, Avowed and Indiana Jones and stuff like that are coming this year. So it's important to know that it's not all. We've had some Xbox showcases where it's like, oh my god, all of these are next year or beyond. But it's nice to know that these are this year, assuming stuff like South of Midnight's going to be early next year, and then like we said, Fable, Perfect Dark, State of Decay, all that stuff. Casey, anything stand out to you as particularly sort of underwhelming or leaving the show with a bad taste in your mouth?
Yeah, in particular, Jeff's showcase, like the meat of Summer Game Fest, seemed like there wasn't a lot. Like Jeff maybe did not get enough from other publishers for his show because they were holding stuff for their own show. So like he kind of had to scrape and scrap together some stuff. So like I'm not saying that the stuff that was there was bad, but a good portion of it just did not have a lot to even show. Like they were animated trailers, CG trailers, and then like the little snippet of gameplay you did get just didn't look representative of what they were showing off in a lot of cases. So like
you're real upset about that anime trailer that turned into an RTS.
No, actually, I ended up seeing a compilation of some other folks who had the exact same reaction we did, where like they were getting really hyped for like all that. I'm like, yo, this looks dope as hell. Like whoever animated this, like bravo. And then it turns to freaking top down mobile RTS. That was so disappointing. Yeah. And like that kind of puts like that's kind of the poster boy for like a lot of what was going on throughout the conference. Like not everything was that egregious, but to different levels and degrees, there was a lot of that where like we're looking at a trailer that's telling you that this is going to be a fun, cool game or universe. And like we're not being shown a cool game or universe. So like that's really disappointing. And like last year, Jeff was really big on saying like, oh, we have gameplay here. Like we don't want trailers. And it seems like maybe that was an ask that a lot of those publishers and developers found difficult to provide. And like, so they didn't even bother this time. So like, I wonder how he's going to balance that in the future.
I mean, as far as like the AAA stuff, like Xbox had it all locked into their showcase. I mean, like literally.
Yeah.
Even stuff that wasn't published by Xbox was in their showcase. So, I mean, the cynical side of me kind of comes back to like Eric showing the very start of the showcase where he talked about indies and kind of hyped up indies. And I was like, well, maybe he did that because that's all he had in the showcase this time was like the big indie games. You know, because he hasn't really spoken on Twitter about any of the layoffs or anything except if it's a studio I think he personally cares about. But I find like he's having a harder and harder time balancing showcasing games over ads and revenue and like these CGI trailers and all that stuff
Yeah.
pays for the showcase, but I don't know. This I think this SGF, like at least for his showcase, was like the weakest of the ones he's done.
It sounds like
Yeah.
from reports from folks who got to do like the hands-on stuff in LA that it was incredible. That like that stuff that he's been working with I Am 8-Bit, like he's kind of locked down, and people I know who've gone there and went to a bunch of E3s were like, this was way better than E3 ever was in terms of like the small 1% of people who are there,
like getting hands on with actual games and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
so press and content creators and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So that's cool for them. I would like to see that sort of reflected elsewhere, and maybe that's one of my things is I love how many. And if you watch the any of the indie showcases with us throughout the weekend, how many of the showcases showed a game and then it said the demo is available now or the demo is on Steam Next Fest. And I know they won't do it because they don't have a lot to gain from it, but I think it'd be really cool to see more AAA developers do that. To, people are saying, oh, the Astrobot demo is so good, or oh, the Horizon demo is so good, or oh, this small snippet of Avowed, or whatever. Like, it would be cool to be able to play if Ubisoft were like, here's a 10-minute mission of Star Wars Outlaws on console, PC, you can download it. Like, not representative of final game. It's not an open world thing. It's just here's a small slice,
a little slice.
to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but that would be really cool. I think that would be
I mean, Stellar Blade did that, and apparently they sold a million copies because folks.
Yeah, it feels like you almost need to be backed into a corner or like a smaller thing in order to need to do that. But you had like Elden Ring had their beta tests. I don't know. It'd be cool to see more of that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of being able to play things, I think that was my biggest L for a lot of this stuff has really just been the CG trailers. Like I've even asked developers on Twitter a few times, like what's the point of these CG trailers? Like it doesn't represent the game at all. Why are we investing so much money into these things? And even they're like, yeah, I mean, it's good for a TV ad to get people like interested to go look something up, but as far as these showcases go, like everybody watching these showcases knows that's not gameplay these days. Like they're spending a lot of money on these things that do nothing for people. And so like with that, the way Xbox is doing things, that I'm gonna sound like a real big Xbox shill over today and like my unpack tomorrow. I'm just waiting for those.
I mean, give them their flowers. They get beat up a lot because they make a lot of dumbass decisions. But I say let them have it.
I like the way they did this showcase, even though we didn't get a ton of gameplay. We got a couple gameplay demos, but like the very next day we got that 26-minute interview and preview of Avowed, which showed a lot more Avowed gameplay, uncut for the most part, in like their interview format, where you got to hear straight from the developer. You got that big deep dive that you wanted out of it. And I feel like every time I remember going back to showcases, unless that demo is like high octane Uncharted 2 action for 8 minutes, nobody wants to watch an 8-minute demo. They're like, please move on to the next game. And I think it's really hard for developers to balance that. Like, how do you show off Avowed in a demo and make it look interesting on a showcase, right? When you have, it's an RPG, you got to go sit and talk to people for 5 minutes, and then maybe you get into combat. So you really can't. Like, Perfect Dark was good because you get to see an action for 2 minutes. The same thing with South of Midnight. You get to see action for a couple of minutes. So
no, that is a good point. It's hard to show off a more extended gameplay loop.
Yeah, so I like how Xbox is structuring their stuff, and it helps that like they have I forget her last name, Tina Amini, yeah, who was in an editorial and kind of knows the audience for this stuff. And so you have your very quick showcases that give you glimpses of this stuff, and then hey, like 3 months from now they're gonna have their direct, and you get 8 to 15-minute like walkthroughs of these games that are coming out this year, like they did earlier this year in January with the directs.
A lot of the folks who are like in charge of production of those live shows and now those post show things are former editorial. So I think that's like you're getting a good the good changes happening because it's people who are on our side who were like, this kind of sucks. This is how they should be. You see that there's stuff like that at Ubisoft too, and a lot of folks who former editorial, which I think is really cool. my last thing on any showcase, the one that didn't stick by any rules, Devolver, because that was, as far as showing games, that was an F. As far as creating
Yeah.
a cool little horror movie, that was an A.
Yeah.
So I don't know
Devolver,
I don't know what that is.
Devolver,
Yeah, like
Devolver is in its own league. Devolver does Devolver things, and you just got to go with it.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I don't know. I'm of the mindset now. I've had more time to think about it. I put Devolver on my L's list because, like, I was so on board for their mocking parody version of a games conference, and that story has now just kind of gone off the rails to a point where, like, I think they've lost the plot. Like, literally, like this is supposed to be a way to showcase the games you have coming out, and it used to be a interesting meta subversive way to do that. This is a different thing now. Like this is a freaking anthology avant-garde television series that is like obligated to show you video games at specific points throughout it. Like they're so divorced from each other. I honestly don't remember any of the games they talked about. Like I could not remember a single game from the Devolver thing.
Angerfoot.
I mean, I know Angerfoot because Jesse and I played it forever ago. Was that during? Like, I don't.
Yeah, they get the release date during the Devolver showcase. They showed off the new game from Heart Machine, but yeah, I mean, like, it was a fun gimmick the first time around, and yeah, it's outstayed its welcome, and I think they got that.
Yeah, and I don't dislike the thing that they produced. Like, I was into whatever that story was, but like as a showcase, like it does not work.
Yeah, yeah. Devolver kind of goes through like phases where they have like a really good gimmick for a year or two, and then they overdo it, and then they do a new gimmick.
Disagree. Go harder.
go even harder.
Disagree.
Should have been at like their booths in like the LA parking lot by the LA convention
where they
center.
give you like weird meat. And,
Shit gets real weird there.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Summer Game Fest? Anything positive? Anything negative? Any final things to take away before we chat about super chats and stuff we've been playing?
One that's probably a little bit contentious, because I know like indie devs need the spotlight for their games, but there's just too many showcases. I think it's spreading the audiences too thin. I think there's too many, and people are like just overlooking a lot of it because it's like why would I go watch Wholesome Direct? Why would I go watch Latin American Games Showcase?
Yeah, all those much smaller ones definitely felt like after parties versus like destinations in terms of what Summer Game Fest is. I was gonna ask even like as a closer for this is like E3 is pretty much dead finally, right? Like there's not any remnant of it coming back at some point or competing with this in the future. Have we as an industry and as fans of video games, have we accepted the Summer Game Fest format? Like is this working for us as an industry, we think right now? Or is there like a lot of room to improve?
The Ubisoft showcase and the Microsoft showcase. Well, Microsoft showcase wasn't even in person; that was pre-recorded. I guess the Ubisoft showcase was probably the closest thing we've had, but I think it was just press and developers in there.
I don't know who's in there.
I don't know either. I guess
I don't know.
And that's how original Ubisoft showcases were like back in
E3. Yeah. Well, just the
literally,
point.
I think it's the same room, the same ballroom.
Yeah, just having people there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's too much. It's too disorganized still. There's too many showcases going on. I don't think like a PC Gamer showcase and Future Game Show and all that. They need to be 2 hours long. You put all this.
And it was.
The problem is so many of these companies are trying to get into the event space and cash in on money. Is what they're doing. Get those advertisers and sponsors to these events.
Yeah, and we had. Folks who, especially on Saturday when we did like 5 indie showcases back to back, were like, why are we seeing the same game multiple times? And it's like, well, these showcases don't speak to each other. And a rad looking indie game like Abyss Cross Zero or Abyss X Zero that showed up in a bunch of them, that had a place it's Latin American, so it had a place in Latin America. It's women led, so it had a place in women led. It's a rad looking PC indie, so it had a place in PC indie. So it makes sense that these things, but it does almost feel like, what if there was just like the indie showcase? But then you would be like cutting a bar, and there'd be like, oh, these small games by these 2 people in Brazil aren't able to make it to a showcase. So I get what you're saying. It's also, I feel like it'd be an easier pill to swallow if Nintendo and Sony and I don't know, EA. Like it used to be there would be an Xbox show, all three first party showcases, Ubisoft, EA, sometimes Capcom, sometimes Square, and they all used to be in like a 5-day period. And now it's like, oh well, PlayStation's a week beforehand, and we think Xbox is, or we think Nintendo's coming next week, but maybe it's the end of the month. So
And sometimes folks just opt out, like they just don't even do anything.
Yeah,
It's
my concern is like the amount of money being spent on this stuff, and I'm curious like what the return is because like some developer, a developer kind of talked about the crazy prices of a showcase, an indie showcase that was charging like 20 grand just being the showcase, and I was like, what? And then I got a bunch of DMs from developers who are like, yeah, some of these prices, fucking nuts. I was like, I felt bad thinking about charging $100 to be in our showcase.
You monster. No, I think ultimately, I think it's good. I think it's different than E3. I think it's good. I think there's absolutely room for improvement, and hopefully, it does improve every year. You just give us more demos to play.
I think Steam Next Fest is like more important than any of those showcases. Honestly.
Yeah, even that has room to improve though, because that's a a full-time job for Frost right now. Going over a couple super chats before we chat about stuff we've been playing. Quintuple A, $2 dono. Thank you so much, Quintuple. Just says Metaphor Refantasio, and let me tell you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was for this bit of art that Eric mocked up.
It's gonna be a real special game. Is that me? Where did you get that face from? How did that happen? This is incredible. I don't remember doing that, but you know what? Seems like something I would do. Cool Kiddo with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Cool Kiddo. Late to the stream. Just finished the Big Catch Tackle Box demo. It was pretty wonderful and surprisingly complex for a 3D platformer. You know, we can add that to the colorful 3D platformer list too. I backed this game on Kickstarter a while ago, and they released. I put a link here, a little prologue demo for it. A few days ago, and this is a game where you play as like a frog man, but it's a 3D colorful platform. It has aesthetics that look like a PS1, Dreamcast, PS2 kind of thing, but you have a fishing rod, and the fishing rod is like a big thing with your movement and your attacks. Like so many of the things you're doing involve this fishing rod. A little bit like if you guys played Penny's Big Breakaway a couple months ago, how like that its movement was so centered around that yo-yo,
like yo-yo based, sure.
Yeah, to where it feels like the same thing with the fishing rod, and so it feels very like high skill ceiling 3D platforming. And again, nice of them to release this prologue demo that folks can play and sort of put the game on the radar / let folks who backed it know that, oh, we're making progress. So good stuff there. Cool Kiddo. And then Elise T, thank you so much for another $2 dono. Have you played Alan Wake 2 Night Springs yet? I still haven't played Alan Wake 2 normal. I'm a bad person. Are you going to play the DLC, Casey? I know you finished the game.
Yeah, I finished Alan Wake. I'm not big on, like, it's not often I go and grab DLC, like, in general. So I don't think I'm compelled enough to jump back into Alan Wake's DLC, especially since these are kind of what if scenarios and not core story beats, as far as I understand it.
Yeah, I like the game. I didn't love it enough to go back.
Oh, I'm absolutely everything I saw from these trailers. I'm like, oh, this is absolutely my shit. I just need to see. Maybe that'll be summer of Remedy. But I gotta go back. I gotta go back to. I think I don't have to go further than Quantum Break. I think I'll start at Quantum Break, and then do Alan Wake. No,
I don't think you can start at Quantum Break.
Alan Wake 1, Quantum Break, replay Control and all the DLC. Alan Wake 2, all the DLC. Drink coffee with Sam Lake. Boom.
Damn. You don't need to do this.
You don't need to do this? I don't know. What else?
Also, I think you skipped a game. Like I think there's another game involved in
Nightmare.
that. Oh, there's that, but then also the Max Payne's.
Oh no, I have to go back to Max Payne.
Yeah, you do. If you're gonna
carry this horse,
you gotta play Crossfire X.
No,
yeah, that's a Remedy game. You gotta play Crossfire X campaign.
No, don't make me.
I got through one mission of that.
Why did you do that? So bad. Elise with another $2 dono. Thank you, Elise. Dredge DLC grab you. I don't think any of us played the Dredge DLC either. I'm waiting a little bit.
I've not even played regular Dredge.
Oh my god, you should play regular Dredge.
I should. I know. I'm sorry.
Regular Dredge is really good.
Podcast.
I'm excited to They announced a second set because I haven't played the first DLC, the Ice DLC, and then they announced this weird oil rig DLC. So once that comes out, I think I'll do a full Dredge replay. Looks very good. I'm very excited. Dredge is great. What was that noise? Was that a no? Was that a no to Dredge?
I didn't even hear the noise.
Oh, I'm just hearing Dredge noises. It's fine. And then Tsunami Dusha were the $5 dono. Did you guys see the Capcom voters result yesterday? Capcom fans are craving a new Dino Crisis. Tsunami Dusha, I agree. And maybe there could be some sort of archival series coming soon to Second Wind that could cover a game like Dino Crisis and games like Mega Man Legends and other. This should just be an entire Capcom series, right?
Yeah,
like
Capcom loves to do this. Just leave
Power Stone,
amazing games
Fire.
in the trash can.
You know what? Here's my plan for Capcom. Just cancel Monster Hunter. Put that in the garbage.
No, we don't have to do it. We don't have to do all that.
Bring back all those series. No one's playing Monster Hunter. As you look at the sales numbers, you're like, no, everyone's playing Monster Hunter. No one played any of those old games.
I mean, what is Capcom releasing today that no one is playing? Exo Primal? Like, is that it?
Exo Primal and that
people like that game.
Kumisugami.
I mean, it's not out yet. That's not.
No one's gonna play that. Be real. Be real. What are you doing?
Look, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Let's talk about. You know what? We're not gonna talk about stuff we can't play because Capcom won't give it to us. Let's talk about stuff we have been playing and watching. Nick, I want to talk about this Avatar thing. What's going on? What happened?
Oh boy!
I feel like literally on Monday you were like,
came out of nowhere.
You were like, oh, I don't know about Avatar. I just didn't really get into it. And it is Wednesday, and you're now like, oh, I am Navi, and I use the tentacle on the back of my head to make love.
I feel like all praise Awa.
Blue person. Yeah, no, I've like tried to get into that game like 3 or 4 different times. Like the world is incredible to look at and everything. I just never clicked with the combat or gameplay. But then I gave it another shot. I guess Tuesday night. I guess I started playing it kind of after the Ubisoft showcase, and it finally hooked me. Like I got a couple upgrades. I got the flying mount, and that really opened the game up really quickly for me. And then the mission that the game finally clicked for me, and I was like, oh man, I get it. Like I like this game now. Is when you are going to get your I don't know the names of these fucking things. The dragon, you're going to mate with your dragon to fly it around.
You get to mate with it.
Yeah, you ride your dragon over the place. But basically, the level design of the game and its open world kind of like really clicked for me because you literally start at the ground and start climbing up into the sky to get up to the dragon. And like you know if you've watched the movies, right? You know how they do that whole journey to up into the floating mountains.
There's a second movie.
This is not ringing any bells.
You do it in the first movie, but the first movie.
I have not seen the first movie since the year of our Lord 2000.
Okay, well,
same.
In the movie, he goes to get the dragon thing, and he's like literally climbing the floating mountains, basically that are way up in the sky.
Okay,
and so the game, like just moving through the world of Frontiers of Pandora is like a big part of the game, and it really like just keeps you connected with it at all times. And it finally clicked for me. I was like, this is really
nice.
neat.
That's on theme.
Yeah, this is like really a unique open world experience to me. Not just being climbing a mountain, like walking up a mountain. Right, I have to jump. I have to carefully navigate these paths and find my way up. And the game does like a really good job of not giving you like a line to follow on the ground like so many games do, right? Like you use your Navi vision, you see where you gotta go, and then you gotta find a way to get there, whether it's flying there, whether it's climbing a mountain to get there, whether it's climbing up a tree and jumping around to get over there. So that really clicked for me. And then the combat, like you're a little bitch when you start the game. Like the humans will mess your day up with their guns and stuff. But the game does a really good job of that power scaling, kind of like almost Tears of the Kingdom. Like, you know, you see this thing off in the distance.
What are we doing?
You see a thing off in the distance. You're like, I want to go take that on, and it's like, oh nope, I can't. I'm too much of a baby to do it yet. And then you play a bit more, you explore a bit more, you find some better gear, and then you go in, and you're like, okay, now I can beat the crap out of this. So like at first, when you're playing as a Navi, you're just shooting those big mechs with your crappy ass bow, right? And then later on you get a spear that can like literally just jab right through the glass, and then you can rip them out of the machine, and you kind of become like this literally like a predator basically.
Nice.
You're no
Okay.
longer a novice.
Yeah. So yeah, but like the world in general has just been incredible to explore. I think it's hitting a itch I've had for like a really good open world to explore, and like if you like um open worlds where you have to go explore all over to collect things that increase your health, or
Mhm.
you have to explore to go get the powers, the new abilities for your character. You don't just unlock it through a skill tree.
Mm.
Like you got to go and find these things. So that's kind of like that's why I really love open worlds, is when they make me go find and do things and not just sit in a menu and shift gear around and shift my points to things. Not
Yeah,
that
this
that's
is it's making you, like you said, connect with the world, which is what the whole thesis of the game was.
yeah.
Which I
The
like
whole
that.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah. And
be
like
one with nature. I love it.
literally every the thing that's like shocked me is when we've seen the trailers for the game, they've only shown like Eric shown the trailers. Like I think these like 2 locations. You see like the floating islands, the opening area, and then like the grasslands.
Mhm.
And that's like 5% of the
That's the
world.
only thing I think of when I think of Avatar.
Yeah. I saw
I
it
think
like
of those floating little forests, which is
yeah.
fine. They're cool looking. This is gonna be a weird question.
Mm.
So before Avatar came out, everyone was just like, "Oh, it's just gonna be Far Cry, but in Navi world." It seems like you're vibing with Avatar more than you vibed with Far Cry 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
Is there? Do you think there are things Far Cry going forward could learn from an Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora?
Um
Put some dragons in there. Put some Navi.
Well, some people in the chat, like John Lee was saying, like, why doesn't Arrow bring a future helicopter now? Bring down a future helicopter? Well, like that's the thing. Like the combat is actually a bit more deep than it looks. Like you can't. You first of all, like those helicopters. If they're shooting at you, like you can shoot the guys out of the cockpit. You can shoot them out of the side of the helicopter. But like just shooting the helicopter head on with a bow isn't going to do anything. So you start shooting at the engines and then you take it out. So there
That
and
makes
like,
sense.
yeah, the
Remember, they have like big ass arrows. They don't have like your puny human arrows.
yeah, and the bots, like the mechs or whatever, have like specific hit points to hit and everything. So it's a bit more tactical than it looks. Yeah, I loaded up Far Cry 6 actually a couple days ago too, and I did not jive with it at all. And
Yeah.
I've loved the Far Cry series, but like it's just I don't know. After Far Cry 5, Far Cry 6 just feels so one note, and I think it really just does come down to like this is a world I want to explore and I want to be in. It's fun to explore, and Far Cry 6 is just Paradise Island. There's nothing interesting about the next military base.
And also, like Ubisoft Massive makes good games. Like I like the campaigns of The Division, and hearing you say that about Avatar gets me, because obviously it's a different team, but still Massive making Star Wars
Star
Outlaws,
Wars, yeah.
which I thought had a really good showing. So
Yeah, the story. If you've seen the movies, if you watch the second movie Avatar, I guess you've seen the stories, Marty. But yeah, the story's okay too. It's very one note story, but yeah, I mean every single place you go in this game is like photo mode worthy. It's incredible.
Oh yeah,
James Cameron would be proud.
Yeah,
JC.
if like if you haven't played a game that feels like next gen to you yet, you need to play Frontiers of Pandora to see like a next gen game in action.
There you go. You've been watching anything else? Playing anything else?
Yeah, I've been watching the series that Amazon fails to acknowledge even exists. I guess Outer Range.
Hell yeah!
Been watching the
Give me
second season.
a little Brolin.
Yeah, second season really, without spoiling anything, gets a lot deeper into the mystery of it all.
Deeper into that hole? They found the bottom of that hole?
Yeah, well, the end of season 1 gives you the big revelation that there's time travel involved. And season 2,
You can't just tell me.
It sounds like a spoiler.
Oh, that was a big spoiler. You said there's no spoilers, then you did a big spoiler.
it's pretty obvious within the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he gets like overrun by like a giant like swarm of like old ass fucking bison from like the West.
Well, but there's also like the stuff 8 days later or whatever. But yeah, season 2 has just been really good. Like if you like Lost, I think you'll really like this.
I
Have you
love
watched?
Lost.
Have you watched Outer Range season 2 yet?
I'm watching it season 2 yet. No, a lot of stuff going on. Apparently, Delicious in Dungeon is wrapped up now, so I can
Oh, I
start
need to
the
go
second
back.
half of that season.
I'm gonna go back and finish it.
Yeah, there's just there's a lot of stuff going on. There's this Acolyte. I still haven't watched this Acolyte. Some people are mad, some people are happy. I want to see what's
Is
going on
that
there.
all out or is that weekly?
I think it's weekly. I think 3
Okay.
episodes are out.
Okay.
And then I finished my rewatch of House of the Dragon. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for all of these inbred monsters to all who are just different shades of the same color to all meet their demise. It's going to be great. Very much looking forward to it. TV,
well,
it's good.
Yeah, I gotta catch up on the 3rd episode of The Acolyte tonight, which I haven't paid attention to social media at all because they're having a meltdown over it. And then whatchamacallit, the first 3 episodes of The Boys season 4 drops tonight too.
Right.
And then House of the Dragon this Sunday too. Like holy
Hot
shit,
D.
so much TV.
So much TV.
D. No
I
such
was gonna
I'm
rewatch
glad that
all of House of the
Eric
Dragon.
Kripke said next season of The Boys is the last one. I'm very glad. I always like to see a series I like walk out on its own accord and not limp out like a sad old man.
Be forced out or moved to another network.
But the anti-corporate show is getting all kinds of spin-offs.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get what was it, V High or whatever?
There's another Boys spinoff?
Well there's the Gen V, which is
I know that one exists. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
Oh, I think they're gonna turn this into I think there's gonna be like 10 spin-offs of this. I think they're gonna go hard into this. Like this is like one of Amazon's big boys to milk, just like Homelander gets
big
sweet,
boys.
sweet milk.
I liked Gen V quite a bit. I thought it was pretty good.
I just didn't tune in.
Oh, just really, it was fun. It comes down to the casting of these things to me.
What do I need to see a bunch of high schoolers for? I already watched Degrassi. I watched Skins. What are they going to show me? I watched 90210.
Yeah.
Not anything else.
Yeah, after watching Skins, you don't see any other group of high school kids. Those fucking kids do it all.
Oh, the Euphoria came out. Those kids are wilding. And then Kojima's throwing them.
They learned everything they knew from Skins.
I just think it's endlessly funny that every show is like, yeah, fuck the corporations are always like the most milk shows to death.
Yeah.
The Office. Getting the paper.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? KC, what about you? What you been watching?
You might have noticed I had a bite-sized drop not that long ago for 9 Souls. This is one of the best Metroidvanias ever made. Like full stop. Full stop. Like it's
someone is complaining on your review that it's not really Metroidvania because there's not a lot of backtracking.
That's just not true. Like there's not a lot of backtracking. I will agree that
good.
The game has a story and it does lead you in a certain direction. Like progression is in a certain order, but there is reason to go back and re-explore other stuff. A pain point that I've seen a couple other people talk about is how the map isn't very helpful to you in terms of exploration. But I mean, the other half of that is that the game is sort of mostly linear and that like you don't need the map to help you go around. You just kind of need to check all the nooks and crannies. And you do have the opportunity later to basically expand that map and make it tell you all the secrets. You just have to do the due diligence of going back to make use of it. And sometimes you don't have to because like, you might have already done it while you were there. So like I get that. Like it's not the most exploration focused, but that's because it is heavily combat focused. And the mechanics at play in the fights with regular enemies and especially in the boss fights are absolutely amazing. Like Sekiro, I've said before, has perfect combat. Like to me, that is the best translation of a sword wielding character having a sword fight with other martial artists, right? Like it feels how you would think it would feel translated into a controller. And 9 Souls is that for a more defensive based martial art. Like the character is essentially using, like a sci-fi-ish version of Tai Chi. Mm-hmm. And Tai Chi is a very balanced focused martial art. It's not even really used for like aggression or attack. Like it's all about defense and redirection and balance and whatnot. And like you have like 4 different parry options that all come into play based on what your enemy is doing. They do a good job of telegraphing with like enemy animations as well as like color schemes. Like an attack that's like glowing red, but then the character's glowing green has to be parried a certain way. Attack that's just red has to be parried a certain way. And the different parries have different inputs. Like one is on the ground, one is on the air. One is a move where like when you're in the air, you attack downwards and it counts as a parry as well as an attack. And then one is like you hold your parry so that you actually charge up and are stationary in place. So like you see a big wind up coming, you basically have to plant your feet and get ready for it in order to properly time how you deflect it back. And it's so satisfying when you're hitting all the different kinds of parry in the middle of this crazy enemy barrage. And then you make that opening and then you start putting your damage in. Like it feels so good. It's so fun.
I'm gonna have to hit you up after the podcast because I beat the first boss that you don't really beat, and then I'm completely lost already.
You're lost. Yeah, it can be. So, there were some sections where it's hard to tell where you're supposed to go because it feels like you can just go wherever it lets you. But there is a specific path. You'll get like little cutscenes and tidbits of story when you're going the right way. So that's your clue to kind of just keep going there rather than turn around and do something else.
The map has like after you beat that first boss and you go back to the pavilion, there's like 4 different lanes you can take.
Yeah, so like you'll come across like dead ends that basically tell you like, hey, here's a path here, but like you really can't get anywhere. Like that's so like, and I get how that's a little frustrating at first, but
especially like that's my problem. I try to play these games before I go to sleep, and then I get lost, and then I'm like, I'm too tired for this shit. I'm going to bed.
Can't take any level of resistance before bed. So
now, Jumbly Wumbly, Hollow Knight is needlessly getting lost.
Well, in Hollow Knight, I feel like that also serves a purpose. Yeah, like you're supposed to feel lost and alone in that big ass world.
You're also just bad at 2D maps.
You're bad at 3D maps.
You've said that. I said 2D. I said you're bad at 2D maps. You have said that before. That wasn't an insult. Again, this is not me pushing against you. You've said those words.
How dare you?
I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play Nine Souls. So put it on Switch. What do we do?
There's also a really good story.
I did like the story. The story was pretty quick.
Yeah, you get like a nice little primer, and then there's lots of layers and like deep conversations between the characters as things go on, and like even all the way towards the end, you're still like learning new and interesting things. Like it's a nice mystery box that always feels like it's progressing, as opposed to kind of keeping you in the dark for an extended period of time. So like I think and it looks amazing. The music is great. Like they hit every mark that you would want for something like this.
Jeez,
so like I'm a big if I could. And it's adult too. Like don't be thrown off. Like it's got like anthropomorphic characters or whatever in it. It gets grisly. Like they are dealing with like pretty dark themes and some pretty dark stuff happens. Like if you're into like low key like body horror stuff, like that stuff is in here too. Like it's just firing on all cylinders.
It was grisly in the first 20 minutes. It's grisly in the opening cutscene.
Yeah. Like they don't shy away from it.
No.
Another thing you have written down here is the Mean Girls, the musical.
Oh,
was that?
you
were watching while playing Nine Souls?
Kinda. I mean, not while, but like it happened alongside. Yeah. Everybody knows Mean Girls is a classic. One of Tina Fey's her first magnum opus. The second one being 30 Rock.
Yeah.
The musical, I feel like, does not translate as well as I would have liked. Like I feel like it's a good ass idea. Like a true, actual good High School Musical, because High School Musical is shit. Let's all admit it. Don't at me.
Man, you just
gave us Zac Efron.
Generation of people.
I love Zac Efron. High School Musical is still garbage, but yeah, like the plot of Mean Girls, like the story, the jokes, all of that. It's like retranslated. Like everything just felt all. And maybe it's nostalgia goggles, but like honestly, like that first movie is so good that it is hard to compete with that. Like, and they are competing directly with your memory of that first movie, and they are calling back to your memory of that first movie to get a lot of goodwill thrown its way. But outside of I think the cast is great. Not all of them are like great singers, or at least like I don't know, it's hard to tell if when they're doing their singing it's actually the actress or actor versus like, you know, some sort of stand-in. But there's some of them, like maybe 2 in particular, are like really good strong ass singers, and then a lot of other ones are kind of like just doing their best. But the main thing is like the songs don't hit.
Yeah.
Like they don't sound like musical songs, which like the key to a good musical song is it first, advancing the story and the plot, like telling you kind of what's going on, being, fanciful and playful, but also just being a bop, like the sort of thing that like you will find yourself singing over and over, like after it's done playing. And these songs are a little too production heavy. Like they're a little too elaborate. They're trying too hard to be, big production fanfare things that you don't get to just hear a nice melody in the middle of the story beat. So like they kind of get in the way every time they start playing, and like you get away from like the actual plot, which is good. Like it's still the Mean Girls movie, and it's still a fun watch. But yeah, I was spoiled by Matilda. I'll say that much.
From what I heard, so this was so there was a book, and then Mean Girls is based on the book, and then they made a Broadway musical based on it, and then this is a movie based on the musical. Not like Hamilton, where it's literally filming the musical. It is a movie.
It's a movie that is based on the music production. Yeah.
And from what I've heard, the Broadway musical is very good. And I agree with you. This one, especially compared to Matilda, which I thought the movie version of the Matilda musical was
Matilda, like the original movie, is a classic.
Sure.
The musical is better than that movie. Like, it is so good. And like, you can't live in a world that has Matilda the musical and then produce this. I'm sorry. It's not fair, but I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's if you come in the same orbit of something of, you're harkening back to this movie from 20, 30 years ago. That's like a beloved childhood / teen classic. That's a lot. It's big shoes to fill. And they did not.
Yeah.
All right.
Like it's fine. Like it's not terrible, but like Mean Girls is a high bar, and like this is hanging out somewhere below it.
That being said, give Tim Meadows any work he wants in life. He's great.
Tell that to Ridley Scott, because we're getting a Gladiator 2 sequel this year.
Oh, Gladiator!
Making a musical.
Gladiator 2. Don't tempt me with a good time. Could you imagine Gladiator the musical? All Mescal, Denzel. What a movie! This is gonna be a great movie. Gladiator 2 is either gonna be Best Picture nominee or it's gonna have a 4 on Rotten Tomatoes. And either way, I'm first day.
A bunch of people didn't like his last movie.
Napoleon?
No, was that Ridley Scott too?
Yeah,
I still haven't watched that one. Shit, I need to get around to that.
Ferrari?
Yeah, the last duel.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
That seemed really cool. I do want to watch that actually. The Last Duel.
Yeah,
forgot that was a thing.
He's just big buds with. Wait, was the Last Duel Ridley Scott or was that Michael Mann? No, that was Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott was.
I'm getting my fucking 90-year-old men confused. The Irishman. They're all good.
That's
Scorsese.
Tom Constantinople, right?
Constantinople.
Chat saying the Napoleon movie was bad, but is it fun? Because I just care if it's fun.
Joaquin's kind of wilding out, if I'm being honest. I think Joaquin, he's always
the Joker.
He's always a little bit wilding out, but sometimes he needs to rein it in a little bit and while slightly less. I like non-wilding. I like the Village Joaquin, even though he's got a learning disability in that movie, but he's great in that movie, and he doesn't realize what's going on, and when he does, it's very sad. Y'all ever see The Village, M. Night Shyamalan? Do you know the twist? I'm not going to ruin The Village.
I know the twist in The Village, but I've not seen the movie all the way through. No.
That movie. I was so excited for that movie as a kid, thinking it was going to be terrifying. It was just a weird, dumb mystery.
I mean, that's Shyamalan in a nutshell.
For The Village, 100 out of 100 times.
I feel that way about Lady in the Water.
No, you can't feel that way about Lady in the Water.
I think Lady in the Water is a good time. Yeah, it's so fucking stupid.
You can't. Oh my gosh, I've never heard anyone say that about Lady.
I liked it.
For some reason, I always
put The Happening.
For some reason, I always put The Village and Signs in like the same room. And I don't remember
they were like back to back. Signs.
Oh, they
were high on.
Okay.
Yeah, because he did Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, The Village, and then lost the plot a little bit. Then we got into Avatar, Lady in the Water.
Shyamalan did Signs.
Yeah, it was all Shyamalan. Yeah. Don't make that face.
I think that was his big breakout was Signs.
Yeah, he went down from there.
Yeah, that was good Joaquin. That was solid Joaquin. As that baseball player who had that bat, and then he hit
that he was in that. Yeah.
Those aliens were allergic to water.
Those aliens were
Avatar allergic to water. They were never going to the
Why?
water.
Like, why did you come here? Like, you came to
dumb.
this
You're
planet,
smart
the
enough
water
to be like, we're going
planet.
to conquer this planet, and no one was like, should we check to see what's going on down there? Is it like 90% of what we're allergic to?
For someone that made all those
I
like
know.
mystery political movies, why did they ever give him Avatar?
I don't know. I don't know how he got that job. I don't know the thinking behind it.
People got debts. Maybe he had a bunch of gambling debts. or
Even
something.
even growing up, I remember that seems like a weird name to put on this movie.
The movie, if you watch silently, it is very pretty. This
Oh,
movie,
boy.
put on that and Silent Hill 1. Put it on. Don't listen to anything. Just listen to a cool album or something. You're going to be like, this is a pretty good movie. Don't put subtitles on either. The scripts are bad.
I don't know.
You don't want the subtitles.
I don't know how we got. I think this tangent happened because I brought it up. But did anybody? We're talking about like directors like Ridley Scott and Shyamalan. Did anybody watch Peter Jackson's Mortal Engines and like it?
I did not watch that movie. No.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Worth
don't remember
watching. It's like $6.
Don't pay money for it. It's streaming. Don't buy it. No, don't buy Mortal Engines. Also, he just produced it. I don't think he directed Mortal
Support
Engines.
the arts. No, I think gonna fact
I'm
check.
relatively sure he didn't direct it. Peter Jackson's very, aside from that 115-hour
Director
Beatles
Christian
movie,
Rivers. What else did Christian Rivers make?
Jesus Christ, Moses.
He
Other main
directed
characters
King-
of the Bible.
Wait
You're
a
gonna have to help
second.
me, Casey. I don't know a lot of them.
There's
Moses would have been
Jonah,
the better
there's-
joke. Like
Bar-
Moses. would be
Barabbas.
Oh, he
Christian
did the
River,
visual.
maybe, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
that completely makes sense. He was the director of Mortal Engines and did visual effects for King Kong and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. He was like a
So
Jackson
visual-
homie.
Yeah, visuals guy that directed a movie, and that never seems to go well for people.
King Dead said that Marty
going
was
fine for
Kojima
Zack
by
Snyder.
saying, "Yeah, I saw it."
Yeah,
Yeah, Zack Snyder. That man should just be let him hold the camera and let him not do anything else on set. But let him when he
Has
holds
there-
the camera, everything's very pretty.
Has there ever been like a director team up? Like, you know how like every now and then like artists will like do a joint album, like Watch the
Like,
Throne, or
yeah.
have any two directors be like, hey, let's freaking Benicio del Toro and Robert Rodriguez, right? They do that.
Benicio del Toro?
Wait, I'm sorry. Did I miss
He's an
that up?
actor. Yeah. he's
No,
an actor.
not
Robert Rodriguez and
Guillermo,
Quentin Tarantino.
not Quentin Tarantino, Guillermo del Toro and Robert Rodriguez.
I mean,
No, am I tripping?
I think you're tripping. There are times where they will like split a movie, like Grindhouse. Robert Rodriguez directed half of, and Quentin Tarantino directed half.
Quentin Tar-
There's,
okay.
like, anthology movies where they'll do this.
No, I want them talking to each other.
Spielberg and Lucas ostensibly worked on Indiana Jones together. Like Spielberg directed it, Lucas co-wrote it, and it was probably like, put a little critter there. In the
Nah,
corner.
see, they gotta both do all the jobs.
But
They
every
gotta
time
do
that
this
happens,
together.
you get the brothers making a movie, and then they
Right.
get divorced, and then we get separate Coen movies and separate
separate
Safdie
Wachowskis
movies,
and yeah.
separate Wachowskis.
What do you
Yeah,
think
that's
would,
the thing.
what do you think would happen if you put like Christopher Nolan and like Tarantino in a room together?
I don't know.
Are there rules? Like, do they just drop like a knife in the middle? And...
Well, Tarantino's movies are pretty straight to the point.
I'm
Nolan
sure
is like
they've-
art house.
I'm sure they're fans of each other. Christopher Nolan's a big fan of Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, they might be a fan of each other, but could they make a movie together?
No, I don't. I think they're all
Yeah.
egomaniacs.
Yeah,
None of
they
those
would
people
kill
can do
each
a movie together. Yeah.
Let's put them in a boxing.
Um,
We'll see what happens.
Why do you want them to fight?
Just
That's violence. It's that end of podcast violence coming from Nick. I want to go over the two movies I watched this week,
Good.
and it was very good. And they're both Netflix movies. They're number 1 and number 2 right now on most viewed on Netflix. The first one, highly recommended, Hitman. It is Hit Spaceman. It is the new movie from Richard Linklater, the director of
Richard,
the
what?
Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Scanner Darkly.
I've seen Scanner Darkly.
Yeah.
Didn't understand it.
All-time great director, but it is starring Glenn Powell, who Tom Cruise has anointed as like the future of Hollywood. Who, if you just look up, I'll put the Wikipedia here. But if you look up Glenn Powell, he was in. He's going to star in Twisters later this summer, but he was the sort of the antagonist for a little bit of Top Gun, and then he was in that movie with what's her name, Sydney Sweeney earlier this year.
I get why Tom Cruise would say that.
This movie is excellent. It is super fun. And Glenn Powell in this movie, by the end of it, you'll be like, oh, yes, he is the next he is the future of Hollywood.
Like he
Because
looks
in
like
this
Tom
movie,
Cruise.
he plays like he absolutely looks like Tom Cruise. He plays like 10 different characters, or like a character playing different characters throughout this movie, and he is so fucking good. It's a movie about a guy who he like moonlights with the FBI, and his job is to pretend he is a hitman to coerce people to try to hire a hitman, and then they
So
arrest
they
the
can
people.
like a sting. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, but then he ends up falling for one of the people he's trying to do a sting on, and and it goes from there. So it's like ostensibly a romantic comedy, but with this sort of stuff, and
I mean,
I
that's
absolutely loved it.
the crime, right? Like,
There's lots of crimes are in this movie. There's tons of crimes. You cannot do that. That's
like
a
you
really bad.
can't fall for your
You
mark.
can't. You should, yeah. Yeah. Also, she was trying to kill her. She's trying to pay you to kill someone. That should be a red flag right at the start. So that gets my big
Sounds
thumbs
like a
up.
good
It's a
talking
very
point
fun
for
watch.
first date.
Like, oh, how did you two meet? Funny story.
Funny story. Yeah, really great movie. And Adria Arjona is the female lead in the movie, who is one of those people that I feel like we will know her name soon. But she played Bix in Andor, the female lead in Andor, as well as she's been like incredible in a lot of like really mid-tier to bad movies like Triple Frontier, Six Underground, and Morbius. And she's just great, but she's in Morbius, and I was like, well, I don't know how good you like. I don't know if anyone's coming out of Morbius alive here.
She's paying for some past transgression.
Exactly. But then so was Matt Smith. Matt Smith was also in Morbius, and he's incredible. Like in House of the Dragon, he's amazing. So
I mean, but he's also played a huge pervert. So
I think he was having in what in both of them.
in House of the in both of I didn't see the other ones, but House of the
Everyone in
Dragon.
House of the Dragon's a pervert. Just because he fucks his niece, it doesn't mean he's the only pervert in Westeros. Back then,
So I guess that makes it better. I don't know.
it was fine. That was the custom back then.
Crusader King stuff going on there.
And then the other movie, my big recommendation. It was the second most watched movie on Netflix, and it's called Under Paris. And it is a French man who saw Jaws and is like, I want to do this, but I don't want to leave Paris. And so it is a movie about how a bunch of sharks attack Paris. And it is just Jaws. Like, it just steals the plot of Jaws, including the fact that the mayor of Paris, they're like, listen, the sharks are in the Seine, the river right now, and we need to close the river. And the mayor of Paris is like, no, we have a triathlon going on right now, and that might get us an Olympic bid. So we will not close the river. And in fact, we'll put all the men to swim in the river, and nothing bad will happen. And then the sharks come. So it is just that. It is that being said, the movie's dumb as rocks, but the movie is gorgeously shot. Like, it is so clearly shot in Paris using like 8K cams that it feels like a travel documentary. And so I was like, oh, I'm in Paris. This is beautiful. There's cool sharks, some great gore when the sharks eat the people. And I will not spoil it. The last 5 minutes of the movie are the most batshit insane ending of a movie I've ever seen.
Okay,
you need to watch the movie. You need to sit through the credits, and you get to the end. You're like, that was what this whole movie was about.
I'm kind of on board now. I think I'll watch this soon.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go have some beers and then come back late drunk and watch that.
Under Paris, it's great. It's like a solid like 95 minutes. Number 2 most watched movie on Netflix. Highly recommend it. There you go.
Like this isn't a knowingly bad movie. This is just a bad movie.
No. It's not like a Sharknado, like a
gotcha.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, I turned into a shark. I'm under Paris now. I can't believe it. But it's also directed by this crazy Frenchman named Xavier Gans. And his previous movie, speaking of Hitman, was Hitman, starring Timothy Olyphant, based on the game Hitman. And he got kicked off the movie because he put in a cut of it, and they said it's too violent. It is gnarly violent. They're like, this is like rated X. What have you done? Like, this movie's got like full sex and too much violence.
They kicked him off though. They didn't say, "Hey, can you rein this in?" Like, it was so bad.
Like,
they was like, "Get out of here! You leave immediately."
And so he's like, "I'm gonna come back 15 years later. I'm gonna make the gnarliest shark movie you'll ever see, and I will go insane at the end of it." So 10 more Under Paris movies. Give me Under Tokyo. Give me Under New York. I want to see where these sharks are going.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. Very pretty.
I'm on board. I like it.
I think that's great. Let's go over some super chats before we leave for the evening. I also really have to pee, so that's kind of why I like spend stuff up because I've had to pee for like 20 minutes. Tsunami Doucher with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Tsunami Doucher. Funny side note, going back to Capcom, fans want a new Monster Hunter in the older mainline series. Casey, do you want Monster Hunter to like go back to sort of pre-world, pre-wilds, like
Absolutely
simpler
not.
handheld times? No.
Nope, absolutely not. And if they do that, just stick it on a Switch and get out of my face. Like the new big budget Monster Hunter was an improvement. Like the old games were good, but they were always scratching at the door of this, right? Like the open world sort of monster hunting thing is the final like destination for that series. World started it by giving you like sectioned off like kind of big biomes. Wilds essentially, I haven't confirmed that. Like I don't think anyone knows for sure, but Wild looks like it is just an open world, and like you just traverse it as one giant like continent, and that's fantastic. Like I'm super excited to see that.
That reminds me, since you said get it on my face, that reminded me of your comment in the back of Nine Souls
Right.
about getting medieval stuff out of your face.
Oh, the medieval muddy boys?
Yeah,
Get those
and
out of here.
I moderated a comment today because somebody was very unhappy with you saying that,
Mhm.
and basically called you a bigot for saying that.
That doesn't make any sense, but all right.
Classic King Arthur truther. Hey, get that man out of here. I don't need those little muddy.
No, I think I saw that
boys.
comment. That argument just doesn't hold water. Like this is my opinion. I'm speaking for my preference. I say that in the video.
Yeah.
Get him out of my face.
My face. Whatever, they're dead anyways. We don't need them here. Bukapo Bog. Thank you so much for a $10 dono. Shout out to Marty in the chat. You know what, Bukapo Bog? Shout out to you in the chat as well. And then Pattern Pike with a $5. Oh, this was going back. I think, Nick, you already answered this, but any chance for Pride Phoenix hoodies with no text coming back? And this is my chance to get one before. So maybe in the fall? Is that right?
Yeah, Shark Robot does hoodies in the fall, t-shirts in the summer.
Oh, there you go.
Marty, you getting some air there, buddy?
Oh, what happened? Oh, it looked like Seaman. Not Seaman, not Seaman. I look like the Seaman from Seaman.
Yeah.
People understand.
That's adorable.
That, thank you. We did it, guys. I'm really proud of us. We made it to the whole end of a show. I turned into a fish only twice. Casey, what do you have going on? What should folks check out in your neck of the woods?
Like we just mentioned, Nine Souls review of Bite Size is up on the channel. Check that out if you haven't seen it already. It's good. Both the review and the game, it's all good. Tomorrow, more DMC with Marty and I. That game is a delight. God, I love it.
So good. It's so good. Oh, no! Actually, second stream early. 3 p.m. Central tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Jack and I will be on stream together, playing a sponsored game. Yeah. Which I'm actually a little excited. I'm pretty excited to check out. Like, it looks really cool. It's something I've been asking for from Nintendo that they won't give us. Yeah. So we'll see how this indie studio is handling the call. Outside of that, wedding streams should be back this Friday. Me, my fiance, and my son will be there playing stuff. I'm thinking maybe we'll give the boy Little Kitty Big City to play around with, and then like me and Kia will just like goof off with him and chat and stuff, and that should be a good time.
Show him Under Paris. Very violent.
No, honestly, I think those French people. When I said that I was going to watch it, I did have him in mind. Like we'll probably watch it together. And I'll see what he thinks of. I
think it is very silly. It is very silly shark attacks, and there's no like nudity or anything like that. So I think it'll be fine.
Sure, yeah, he'll be fine. Outside of that, like we're working towards getting to 60% because once we hit that goal, we're going to be doing karaoke. Like it's going to be a demonetized stream that gets nuked from the internet, but F it, we're going to do karaoke once we hit 60%. So help us get there Friday. Sorry, and then Sunday, Super Smash Sunday will be back as well. Wait, it might not be. I might move that to Saturday. We'll find out. Follow the Twitter. You'll find out. Because I still got to like do like wedding tour visits and stuff over the weekends and whatnot. So I'm just out and about.
Awesome. Nick?
But that's it for me.
Yeah, I'll have a brand new episode of Unpacked out tomorrow, looking over the recent big Xbox moves. It's going to be kind of a flip video from the one I did 2 weeks prior. I'm sure nobody's going to screenshot that and be like, oh, he can't keep his opinion straight. But yeah, that's pretty much about it for me. Frost and I will be back on Friday for Call of Duty. We'll be starting Call of Duty 2 finally. I'm really excited to do that. And then
you, Jesse, and Jack will have another sponsored stream Friday at noon as well. You got
Yes.
back-to-backers.
Yeah.
Get some sleep on Friday.
Yeah. We'll be playing the game you've seen ads for this week, My Lovely Empress. The last time I played a game with political leanings and it like Crusader Kings, it went to very weird places. So
and this game with Monster Girls will definitely not go to any weird places.
And Jack and Jesse will be providing voices throughout it. So Nick is playing, and we have our two thespians.
Maybe some tentacle things.
No tentacle things. But yeah, check out all that stuff. Yeah, tune into all the streams, watch all the videos, and yeah, we appreciate it. And we'll be working on a big Steam Next Fest kind of roundup of our favorite games, our favorite demos that we've been contributing to, and Frost and Jesse have been cobbling together. So look out for that in the next few days as well. Excellent.
And, some people in the chat keep asking, so I'll address it. And Nirgo says, "What happened to Songbirds Conquest review? Just had some factual things in it that we needed to fix, so we took the review down because it was getting lambasted. So just took it down.
Easy peasy.
That's all.
Perfect. So for Nick, for Casey, for Eric, this was Marty. This was Firelink episode number 25. Thank you so much to everyone watching live in YouTube, watching the VOD, listening on your podcast services. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a review on one of the podcast services. You can probably do that. Even if you don't like it, give it a review. Just be honest. It's fine. We appreciate it.
No, 5 stars or get out.
No, that's fine. If listen, we didn't earn 5 stars yet. We earned like a solid 3.5. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesdays, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.